So, Jessica, thank you for taking the time to discuss this topic with us today. I'd just like to ask, growing up, what did you envision your dream job to be?
Hmm, I think I, like a lot of children, went through various stages, picked out different things I wanted to be: a vet, a teacher, an artist, and a bit later in life, uh, a National Geographic photographer. I was always a big fan of the magazine and just thought it would be so cool to travel and take pictures and really appeal to my creative side as well.
That's wonderful. And do you believe that any internal or external factors influenced your decision?
Yeah, I think so. When I was younger, I always liked drawing and painting, and since the age of about 5 or 6, I was going to art lessons. I think all of that kind of just fed my need to be creative and led me down that path to creative job.
Okay, so since a young age, you were starting in art classes, is that correct?
Yes.
So, do you believe that your family was supportive of this choice?
Yeah, definitely. I've had and still do have a very supportive mother who, I was never the type to pursue sports and that kind of thing. Just it wasn't my forte, but I love to draw, and I think that my mom and my family saw that and were very supportive and encouraged me, and it really helped me, go after it to have that supportive team there.
That's great to have. And how important is financial security to you in comparison with working for what your passion is in life?
I mean, realistically, it's very important. I would love to travel around the world and just take pictures or volunteer, but things haven't really panned out that way. I kind of do what I can in terms of doing stuff like that, and then I do have my 9 to 5 job, which affords me a somewhat comfortable lifestyle. I don't have to struggle. I did try freelance work for a while when I was a bit younger, right out of college, and that was kind of just not reliable. I didn't have a steady income, so it is very, very important that I have that.
Okay, and do you believe or do you feel as if children in America today feel pressured somewhat to select a career based on its monetary value rather than purely their interest?
I believe so. I myself grew up for the most part in Europe, in Ireland, and I wasn't burdened with things like student loans. My education was completely free for my bachelor's. So I think that you would have a different mentality going into it if I think, oh, I'm going to have all these loans, how am I going to pay them off afterwards? I didn't have that, which was, fantastic and how I think things should be. I got to just choose something I was interested in and go for it. So I can imagine, people here in the States would be much more cautious about what they're choosing. And of course, it's, a good idea to look into job possibilities for what you may think you want to do before going to college. Like, what can I do with this degree? I didn't really think of that. I did multimedia, and I kind of was left coming out of it like, what am I going to do? It's just all different aspects of media. Um, we didn't have like majors and minors like you do here, so I think it was very different for me. I definitely didn't have that mindset of being very wary of finances and whatnot. But I can imagine, and I know many people here who think very carefully about what they're going to do because they know that they're going to have a lot of debt when they're finished with school. How are they going to pay that off?
Right, right. So, do you believe, in comparison with the States, that adolescents in Europe or even just Ireland are more inclined to choose a career that stems solely around what their interests are rather than how lucrative it may be?
Um, Perhaps a bit. Like they may feel like they have a bit more freedom. I think that most people that I know have studied and went to college for something that is pretty practical. You have to think of, am I going to be able to get a job? Because once you finish your free schooling in Ireland, you then have to support yourself. So it's still very important that you pick something where you know I'm going to get jobs. So I feel like maybe they might have a bit more freedom and they're not so worried about debt, but you still have to think forward, before you go to college, while you're in college, where is this going to lead me afterwards?
Okay, and can you tell me what your current title is?
I am a graphic specialist for a firm.
And do you mind elaborating on that a bit?
Sure. So I work for a firm and was recently promoted to graphic specialist, and I do all of the in-house graphic design. I have a graphics assistant who helps me out. It's just a very small team, the two of us, and we're part of our IT department. So I do a lot of the marketing work, as we also do work for clients. I do things like infographics, advertisements. We do a lot of template design, and I also give creative direction for our website, and sometimes we outsource work to different graphic design agencies if I can't do it all myself, and I'll provide creative direction there as well.
Okay, and would you say that your training, you said that you did have a bachelor's degree, would you see that the education is associated with your dream position, your current position, or both to a certain degree?
Definitely both to a certain degree. If we're talking about my dream position being the National Geographic photographer, uh, I have worked in uh, photography studios when I lived in Dublin. I did give that a go, and I did have some training for that when I was in school for multimedia. I didn't really like photography so much for a job, or maybe it was just because I was doing more portrait photography. But when I came to the States, I landed my current job. Um, and I feel like definitely if I didn't have the degree that I have, the training that I have to bring to this firm, that I probably would not have gotten the job.
Okay, so if you could make any changes thus far in your career path, would you?
Hmm. Um, I think that as opportunities have presented themselves, I've kind of taken them and made things work how I want. I did get to travel overseas and bring my camera, take a lot of pictures. I was very fortunate to have a job that will let me take time off when I want to do that kind of thing, but also have the security of having a 9 to 5 job when I want it, so that I do have that that steady financial income. So I think that to a degree, I would say, yeah, both my dream job and my current job, which my dream job was kind of like a pipe dream, and I did look into that. It just didn't really pan out, and I'm not sorry for it. I'll always have photography as a hobby, and I'm definitely, always keeping my options open, and if I want to change career paths again, I can.
Well, that's great that you were able to keep it as a hobby throughout life. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close?
I can't really think of anything.
Okay. Well, Jessica, I do want to thank you for your time and your feedback.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.